Hey, welcome back to Well Traveled. It's our goal here to keep your health from destroying your travel dreams. We sold everything and we've been traveling for about 4 years now. And my wife is a physician and I have a background as a researcher. And so I'm in my 70s, I'm aging, I have health issues, and I don't want that to threaten my travel dream. And so we thought we would bring some of the things that we are doing to try to stay on the road. Now, I'm going to be your guinea pig. We'll talk about that more in a minute. But here I am on the beach in January. I hope you are realizing a dream like that as well. But again, health. That's the big bugaboo, right? Now, trying to figure out your health, all the experts disagree, right? How can this be? How can there be so much disagreement about this drug or that diet or this lifestyle or this approach? It's very strange. It's very confusing. It can be very demotivating. I have friends who just throw up their hands and are like, why bother? Doesn't matter what I do. It's all contradicted by somebody or something. And so here, our promise to you is that we're going to be bringing you health tips and ideas and lifestyle approaches that I'm doing that are solidly based in research, that are backed by leading experts, and that have worked, are actually doing something for me, with the key of trying to avoid side effects, right? I mean, health isn't defined very well if you're taking a drug and it's helping with one thing and making other things worse, right? That can't be a good definition of health. So why do all the experts disagree? Why is there so much confusion in the health space? Well, the first thing to understand is that health is as much a philosophy as it is a science. There are very, very different approaches to health in various health professions. The primary health profession in the Western world is called allopathic medicine. That's relatively new. It started around the early 1900s. It's based on intervention, right? You have a problem, you have a symptom, we're going to give you a drug, or we're going to give you a surgery. There are other approaches that look more at prevention, look more at lifestyle changes, look more at side effects of drugs, and look at trying to avoid surgery, right? And that's what we're going to be doing here. My wife is a physician, as I mentioned, and she has a solid background in prevention. Most doctors don't. In fact, believe it or not, there's almost no nutrition taught in medical schools, even to this day. This is very, very odd. Diet is never studied in medical schools as an avenue towards good health. This is very odd because I think intuitively we all know that can't be right. So allopathic medicine is interventional. The other forms of medicine or health professional approaches is loosely called holistic. They're looking at the body as a whole. They're looking at root cause of problems. They're not looking at symptoms. And so if you have a symptom, it may be the function of a problem in your own body that's being missed, that isn't commonly associated with your symptoms. This could be as simple as your immune system, could be as simple as your gut biome, all kinds of different things. So that's one explanation, is you have wildly different approaches among health professionals. Even though they're using the same science, they have different philosophies. The second difference is human beings are complicated. There is very little good science on human beings when it comes to diet, lifestyle intervention, and things like that. Now, the reason for that is simple. It's very difficult and very costly to get a large cadre of people together who perfectly represent human beings, right? So it has to be the right age, the right sex, the right health, the right weight, all sorts of different things you have to get right in order to reach a statistically significant conclusion about what will help all of those human beings. And virtually none of that research is funded and virtually none of that research is done. And when it is done, often the participants are voluntary and they're just being observed. So you don't have long-term studies very much, at least, on interventions. They're much more on lifestyle and things like that. But there's all kinds of confounders, all kinds of other factors that come in. If I'm very healthy and I'm in the study, then I may reach, the study may reach a very different conclusion on what helps me than someone who's very unhealthy in the study, right? So that's going to throw off the statistical conclusions that we reach when we're looking at a large body of people. Most human research right now is on mice, sometimes on monkeys, and a lot of it is observational, as I mentioned. That's epidemiological, and that's just full of holes, and that's just full of problems in terms of reaching broad conclusions. And there's almost no real long-term dietary research out there. Again, very costly, and we'll talk about how cost factors into all this in a minute. Now, the other problem with why you can hear things in the media, or you're going to hear things from us that are completely contradictory to what you've been told or what you believe. And so the question becomes, how can that be? Well, keep in mind, we're bringing you the very latest research. Your doctor may not even be aware of this latest research, and even if they are, they're not allowed to use it until it goes through kind of a scrubbing process through the medical profession. So first there has to be research, then there has to be peer review, then there has to be confirming research, then there has to be general academic agreement on the conclusion. Then that has to work its way into the medical textbooks. Then that has to work its way into the medical schools in terms of what's being taught. That also has to work its way into the licensing boards, because doctors are stuck legally with using the standard of care. So if you go to them for a certain kind of problem and they deviate from the standard approach or the standard practice, they could have legal liability if something goes wrong. And so until that standard of care is altered by going through the process, you also have to have approval of the licensing boards. You have to have approval of the insurance companies. This could take 20, 30 years, sometimes it's even longer. So even if your doctor's aware of some of the wild and crazy things we're going to be bringing you, they can't tell you about them, or they can't prescribe them. So the system is very conservative. That's valuable, right? But not when you're old or aging or have serious health problems. There you want to have the latest research to be able to put at your fingertips. And that's why we're doing this channel. I have a research background. I've devoted myself to figuring out my own health problems. My wife, Heather, is a physician, and so we're bringing that knowledge to you as a way of getting you, early start on some of these new and exciting therapies and techniques. Finally, we have to talk about the elephant in the room. One of the big reasons why there's a great deal of controversy in medicine and a great deal of disagreement among the experts is the fact that medicine is a business. It's sad to say that, but it's a very profitable business, one of the most profitable businesses in all the world. And money influences what kind of research is done. Money influences what kind of research is published. Because if I fund a research on a particular drug, a research trial, and that trial comes out and says my drug doesn't work, I'm not going to spend the money to go publish that. And I'm not going to chase that drug. And so there's quite a bit of research that goes on that we never find out about. What gets published, as I said, and what gets funded is driven by financial considerations, because these large pharmaceutical companies, hospitals, et cetera, they're run on a profit model, a business model. They have to make money, and that's going to skew the kinds of things that not only that they're studying, but also the kinds of things that they're recommending. Now, it doesn't mean they're bad people or that there's evil here. We don't have to go to the conspiracy theory level, but it's clear that money influences our medicine today, and that there are incentives to keep certain kinds of therapies away from you and incentives to bring other therapies to you that are very profitable. That's just a fact. So all those things add up to why this can be so confusing. Now, part of the confusion out there isn't actually a confusion at the research level. It's confusion in the media and confusion in the headline level. You have to read these studies to see what they actually say. You have to read these studies to see if they're flawed or not, to see what kind of, how valid are they? How strong are they? Not every study is the same. And so uh, most people don't have the time, and certainly most people don't have the ability to actually read these studies. Heather and I do. And we read them because they're trying to figure out me and my family and her patients, et cetera. And so we're going to bring that to you. That's the value add that we have on this channel. Because if you go by the headlines in the media, you are not going to be getting the best health advice. Now, let me give you an example that's out there right now. It just happened this week, or at least it was reported this week. There's 2 statin trials that came out. Now, statins are one of the most profitable drugs in the world. We're talking billions and billions of dollars in profit every year. One study came out and said statins are dangerous. They cause heart disease, heart attack, the very thing they're trying to stop, that they destroy the coenzyme Q10 energy pathway and weaken the heart muscle. Okay, that's troubling. If you're on statin, that's pretty worrisome. The other study came out and said statins are amazing. The side effects that are associated with statins really aren't true, and that virtually everybody should be on a statin, even young people without heart disease, because it's such a powerful prophylactic. All right. Okay, that can't be. Those 2 studies cannot exist in the real world, and they can't both be true, right? But if you read the headlines, now one of those studies, the negative statin study, did not have industry funding and did not get much media play. I found it in only one source. The other study was splashed all across all the major media, and the study itself was funded by Big Pharma, and the study and the marketing itself was funded by Big Pharma, okay? So you have to put that into context. There's money at stake here in these arguments. They aren't just little arguments between health professionals. And so you have to then go read the research and find out, okay, which one of these is accurate, or which one of these apply to my situation, right? I mean, we mentioned earlier that human beings are complicated. What might work for me might not work for you. Often with supplements, I see really weird numbers, like 1/3 it cures whatever ails them, the other third it does nothing, and then the other third gets sick from it or have problems. That's weird, right? So again, what works for me might not work for you. I'm going to be your guinea pig, but also we want to find research that has other human beings as guinea pigs. So that's what we're going to try to bring you. So again, our promise is that the techniques, the ideas, the lifestyle changes that we're bringing you are based on solid research, backed by leading experts, and are things that I am trying and that have worked for me or worked for others. Now, none of this is medical advice. We can't give you medical advice, but we don't want to give you medical advice because that would be dangerous for you to accept our opinion in place of your doctor. We are simply providing ideas, food for thought, lifestyle changes that you can do that are often free, that are always easy, and that are without side effects. And I'll be sharing those in the weeks and months to come. We're also going to be doing some live Q&As. You'll get a chance to ask both Heather and me some questions. But bottom line, do not take our recommendations and change anything that your doctor is doing. Go back and discuss these with your doctor, or find a doctor that you think is more open or more up to date on some of these ideas. Not all doctors are the same. They're just like lawyers or athletes or any other profession. They're all different. They all have different strengths. And the key is to find the one that works for you. Because let's face it, the United States, the Western world, spends more money on health than anywhere else. And we're probably the sickest in the world as well. That doesn't add up. So you might be following all your doctor's recommendations and you might be sick. You might be feeling poorly. It might be getting in the way of your travel dreams. That's where we come in. We're going to see if we can give you ideas and places to maybe experiment or seek out different health professionals, because our goal is to keep you on the road. All right. So see you next time.